just gonna stop this. All right, so that's maxed out on our flex ramp. So we're gonna measure how far it came up, and you can see these Gladiators look pretty awesome already. So we're gonna measure, see how far it comes up, and then install our lift kit and see what happens.
May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? Will the real Slim Shady please stand up? I repeat, will the real Slim Shady please stand up?
All right, so now this is the beginning of the installation of this rock crawler lift kit on this 2020 Gladiator. And one thing men have a problem with, and this is something that I've been doing Jeeps and nothing but Jeeps for well over 10 years now, is when you get your kit box. This is the first box you really need to get open. So the first and most important part of, as you cut towards yourself, it's very masculine, very manly. So you have this kit box. The very first thing that you need to do, and it's going to ensure that you have a good installation, and it's going to install in that you're going to have no mistakes. Like big mistakes on a deal like this means you hurting somebody out on the interstate when something comes off. So we're going to open this kit box and quickly find out you have this piece of paper. Get the instructions. We're going to go to the computer. We're going to print out the instructions. And as we do each and every part of this lift kit, we're going to mark it off that we've already succeeded and did that item, and then we're going to move forward. I know we're men and all that stuff, but this is something I still do to ensure the perfect installation every time. So let's go print this out. All right, so what I got here is the upper control arms. And when the arm isn't straight and it has a bend in it, like this one does, and our holes are misaligned, if you measure on one hole or the other hole, you're going to end up with two completely different measurements. So what I do, and what is the proper way, is I just take my Sharpie, go through the holes, and that gives me a center point. So what I do is I measure from the center of that Sharpie to the center of my joint to get my measurement, and that's going to make it the same on both sides, and it turns out great. So that's a little quick tip when you're setting your arms.
You ever have to do this thing?
Use that, just put it in reverse.
Ooh la la.
Before we install any springs or the lower control arms, there is a little drilling that we need to do. Before you put any springs in there, we want to drill a 1/2-inch hole so we can do our bump stops. All the bump stops will go in after the springs, and they can stack them so we can go up and down as needed when we actually get it back on the flex ramp. The other hole is right here, and it's a hole saw. There is a little diamond imprinted in the axle that you can center to drill, and it will relieve for the lower control arm to come up and down, and it will allow you to have access to the grease fitting. So before you get carried away, these are a couple holes on each side that you need to drill, and after you do this hole saw, make sure you take a grinder or a file or something and clean up these sharp edges, because you will cut your foot off. All right, so we're really making great progress. Like I said, going with the instruction books really allows you not to get lost during an install. We have all the upper and lower control arms in. They look great, how they're bent just perfect, clear the frame, everything. One thing I can't express to you guys enough are these heat shields. You can see Gil is installing them now. And that basically is a heat shield. It's going to protect that joint from the exhaust. So it's very important that you get those heat joints or heat shields back on to protect the joints. And we're getting ready to install the coil springs, and we are clicking right along. All right, super exciting. We're almost finished with the front end, and it is going together great. We're drilling some holes for the new stabilizer mounts because we went to the Yeti system, Steer Smarts. It's definitely a must with these new Jeeps. The track bar, a lot of people, when you get these track bars adjusted, don't really worry about putting that together right now, because once you put it on the ground and somebody grabs the steering wheel, turns it right or left, it makes that super simple to go in. So we leave the track bar loose and put it together when it's on the ground. But the front end is about ready. I'm doing a sway bar link. Skill's doing what he does best. And that's the finishing touches. And we're gonna go to lunch after this and then hit the rear. So lunch and then the rear, we're gonna hammer the rear out. All right, we're back from lunch and we're going to start the rear end. And I'm pretty excited because we have a brand new truss that goes on this rear axle that I've never installed before. And there's a couple pieces that came with it that are got my curiosity up. So we're just getting started. We're following the book like we discussed earlier. We're gonna get these sway bar links off, and I'm gonna unwrap this truss, and then we'll come back to you and you know, cure our curiosity and excitement together. All right, rear end, here we come.
All right, it's Diesel and I'm back. Wait, just kidding, everyone. Anyway, here is the Krawler cradle for the 4-link, and we have the axle out, and the next step in this process is we have to drill these 4 holes on top of the axle. We need to make them a little bit bigger, not deeper, just a little bit wider, and we'll go ahead and do that now. I hope you didn't get all that. All right, guys, we have the cradle back on here. Everything's drilled and tapped, ready to go. We have these 2 bolts in the rear torqued down to spec, and now we're going to lower the Jeep down on top of this thing. Can't forget our e-brake bracket, and we're gonna, once the Jeep's down back on top of the axle, we'll get the U-bolts on and finishing up this rear end. All right, guys, we have the rear end back in the Jeep. Control arms are in. We just got the springs in. One thing to make sure is we get these pads, the Krawler correction pads. Make sure you follow the instructions on these, because a lot of people get them backwards easily. So we got them things in. Now we're just gonna throw the shocks on, the brakes, get everything dialed in, sway bar links, we're good to go.
All right, the fast Gladiator is almost ready for a test drive. We're doing the alignments and nut and bolting, make sure everything is all together, straight, and it's gonna drive down the road good. The rear end, when we got all together, we noticed it is a little bit off center. Some quick measurements, and we discovered it, and this is a 4-link rear, so it does not have a track bar. So you have to adjust it a little bit, and you have 2 upper arms, and they're on an angle. So if you can imagine, if you lengthen one and shorten the other, you're actually going to take that rear end and move it side to side in the vehicle. So rather than shortening or lengthening our track bar in the rear, we're just going to adjust these upper arms just a little bit and get this alignment set and get this thing on the road. All right, so these are the upper control arms that actually make it possible to eliminate the rear track bar. We were a little bit off. We were just about a 1/2 inch exactly, actually. We took the arms loose at the axle. We lengthened one of them 1 turn and shortened the other one 1 turn, and it actually moved to this shortened arm side 1/4 inch and put us dead nuts in the center. So if you're doing these Gladiators and you have this amazing Krawler Pro X lift kit, 1 turn on one side longer, 1 turn on one side shorter is going to equal about 1/4 inch to get your axle centered. It's good enough. All right, this is Diesel. This is Michael. And this is the little first test drive on this Gladiator. And we'll have to do a follow-up in a month because I know we'll have more input. But he's kind of camera shy. It's from living with nothing but women. So when he hangs out with the men, he even got sick to his stomach and had to go home.
That was you. You made me sick.
Oh yeah, I have that effect on people. To the flex ramp. Let's see what happens. All right, so we're doing the flex ramp now that the lift is done. Our measurement was 27, so we'll see how much further we go. Oh, shit. Yeah, hold on. Oh, Jesus.
Wipeout.
Oh, we need another bump stop. This things that we're noticing is we don't have the no limit sway bar links, but it's looking pretty good. But you can see this link needs to be a little bit longer. We made it at 7. Rock Crawler said it needs to be at just over 8. And you can't re-engineer greatness. I should have just did what Rock Crawler said, but that's definitely my mistake. So we'll put that where they said to put it. And it, yeah, they definitely have it. You can see that rear. Okay, you can see that rear tire's tucked in there great. And from this angle, it almost looks like a trophy truck when it's going over whoops, because that panhard or that track bar has not moved the axle one way or the other, and it's just kind of a weird angle looking, which is super cool. While it's on the flex ramp, we're gonna look to see how much more movement we have on our bump stops, which our bump stops is definitely maxed out, so we're great. Shocks, we have a little bit movement left, so that's good. Sway bar links look great. So our little rear end here just seems to be adjusted just fine where we want it. So our measurement the first time with it stock was 27 inches. Our brake lines are in great shape. Our shocks definitely have ton of travel. These links don't come anywhere close to being in contact with anything. Free moving, far from maxing out those amazing crawler joints that Rock Crawler has. So let's just see how much more. We went from the stock Rubicon with just under 33-inch tires to a 3-inch Rock Crawler Pro X lift. With the stock one, we crawled up 27 inches. We installed the lift, and 24 hours later, we've crawled 10.5 inches further with a 3-inch lift. And not only that, but it's far from maxed out. We a little bit of adjustments. We're gonna get the bump stops a little bit, and it's this thing went from a roadworthy truck to an amazing beast that's even better driving on the road.
How did the initial test drive go? Was it a pretty nice ride?
Yeah, so we picked a road that had some turns in it. Instantly the Michael noticed about how much easier it just steers, easier to drive. And then we went down a road with some bumps that is really pretty bumpy, and it was just like driving down a smooth road. It basically eliminated a lot of the bad road qualities and made it smoother. So I think the state should invest on putting Rock Crawler lifts on everybody's vehicle instead of putting money in the roads. It'd be a lot of money saved, and I'll make more. But no, we're super happy. This lift is it took us, I would say, a good 15 hours to do with the alignment, and just taking our time and doing everything to the best of our ability and the way it's supposed to be. And you can really tell when you take your time and pay attention to details how this came out. So 2020 launch edition Rubicon. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of these trucks, but I kind of want one now.
Me too.
Alignment's done and the final touches. So much pride in just a sticker. What's so funny, Carrie? What is so funny? You wish you had a rock crawler sticker.
I do. On the front of my Jeep. Oh, forgot about
Congratulations, your rock crawler lift kit is now complete. Feel free to roam the country as you will. Dun 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 dun.